In this video, I'm gonna teach you how to handle the time, money, spouse, and the I need to think about it objection. Trick question, when is the best time to overcome an objection?
When it comes up!
Wrong! In this video, not only am I gonna teach you how to handle the objection before it comes up, but also after it comes up. The best time to handle an objection is before it comes up. Let me show you how. Now, really, there are only 3 main objections that ever are actually valid. All the other objections are just a smoke screen that lead to one of these 3. Number 1, I don't have the time, / I wanna commit at a later date. Number 2, I don't have the money, / this is outside of my budget. And number 3, I need to talk to my spouse before I make a decision. There is also, I need to think about it, but this isn't an actual objection. This is just a smoke screen to cover one of the main 3 objections. And you can ask some ninja questions to figure out what the actual objection is, and I'm gonna show you how. Now let's talk about how to overcome the I don't have the time or I wanna commit at a later date objection. Now, in order to overcome the time objection before it comes up, you need to be paying attention for red flags on the call. So, I don't have the time red flags are, they mention how busy their schedule is. They mention that they're planning to start at a later date. They complain that they're always busy with work. They say they don't have the time to go to the gym and exercise. If any of these come up, here's how to handle that objection before it comes up. Okay, John, so you mentioned to me that you're super busy, and I gotta ask because, in order for us to lose 20 pounds, it's gonna take about 3 to 5 hours a week of exercise in the gym total, as well as, eating healthy meals, etc. Can you commit to 3 to 5 hours per week to lose 20 pounds? Letting them know that it's gonna take 3 to 5 hours a week to lose the weight and getting them to agree to that frame will make it much easier for you to close at the end of the call because they told you they have the time. So now they can't use that as an excuse. Now, for the people that say, I wanna start next month, literally completely disregard that statement and don't even acknowledge it. On sales calls, the person who has the strongest frame wins. And a frame is an agreed upon container between 2 people. If you wanna see the video I did on this, go check this out. So if my prospect says, I wanna start next month, and I don't acknowledge or agree to that frame, I have the stronger frame in this scenario, AKA I'm controlling the conversation. So if my prospect ever says, yeah, I wanna start next month, I literally just fucking move on to the next part of the script and I don't even acknowledge that they said it. You'd be surprised how many more clients you're gonna close by doing that. Let's go into I don't have the money. Here's how to handle it before it comes up. The best way to handle the money objection is to get a feel of their spending habits before you get to the price. If they mention they've had a previous mentor, write that down and ask them how much it costs because this will show you how much they're willing to invest. But most importantly, when you're asking them the nutrition questions, this is where you really need to do some digging. So Nick, how many times a week do you eat out? Okay, 3 times a week. And do you smoke cigarettes? No? Okay. Do you smoke weed? I'm not judging you, by the way. If you smoke weed, you're good. I'm just checking. Okay, cool. And do you stop at Starbucks or anything like that? A couple times a week? Okay, so let's say, you're eating out 3 times a week. Let's just say it's $20 per time. Plus right now you go to Starbucks a couple times a week. That's about 20 bucks. And you said you smoke a little bit of weed. So let's say it's about $100 a week. Is that correct? Okay, so we're spending about $400 a month on fast food, eating out, drinking, smoking weed, etc. Is that correct? I'm just gonna hold the mirror in front of them for what their spending habits are. Then, if they give me the I don't have the money objection at the end of the call, I now have this as ammunition. Let's talk about how to handle I have to talk to my spouse before it comes up. You need to have your ears open on all of your sales calls and listening for signs that this individual has a spouse. As soon as I hear the word family, girlfriend, wife, significant other, spouse, partner, dog, cat, whatever, I'm like, okay, this person has a spouse. Here's what I say. Oh, I love that you want to do this for your family, Nick. And just out of curiosity, does your spouse know that we're speaking today? Now, they might answer yes and they might answer no. Either way, it does not fucking matter because we're gonna ask this follow-up question, which puts the nail in the coffin. Amazing. And typically speaking, are they on board? Do they support your fitness journey? Like they want you to be the very best version of yourself? Nobody's gonna say no to that. Once they say yes, you've allowed the prospect to convince themselves in their mind that their spouse will be okay with this, which will mean it's much more likely you'll close at the end of the call and that won't be an objection. Okay, so that's how you handle objections before they come up. Now let's talk about how to handle objections once they come up. So you did everything right and you still got the fucking door slammed in your face. Bam, objection. Welcome to the game. Sales is a game of numbers and stats, and no matter how good you are, you will not ever close every single call. I've never met a salesperson on the planet that has a 100% close rate. That being said, you can close a significantly higher amount of calls by learning how to overcome objections. Now, first things first, when you come to your sales call, you need to expect that your prospect is going to have an objection. Of course they're gonna have an objection. They've been making excuses their whole fucking life. What makes you think this call is gonna be any different? This is the hard part. Sometimes people will reach out to us and they'll say, Nick, I really need to change my life. I've been struggling with weight loss for the last 5 years. I'll do anything. Then we get them on their phone and they're like, I just need to think about it. That's the reality. Even if they say they wanna buy, they're still gonna have an objection. If you expect their objection and you're not surprised when it happens, it will allow you to be a lot calmer when you're crafting your response. Now, first things first, I gotta say this. When somebody gives you an objection, don't respond right away. What you wanna do is you wanna pause. So whenever someone gives you an objection, the first thing you wanna do is you wanna pause. Now we're gonna go into the time objection. So let's pretend I'm on the phone and Nick's like, yeah, I'm gonna have to wait till next week to start this. First things first, when you get the objection, you wanna understand it and you wanna validate it. Nick, I totally hear you. Now, out of curiosity, just so we're on the same page, the program sounds amazing. It sounds like everything you're looking for. You just wanna wait till next week. Is that correct? This will get the prospect to agree that your program is amazing. And when they say yes, you're like, okay, great. Now, why exactly do you want to start next week instead of today? Now, typically speaking in this scenario, they'll say something to do with their budget, like they get paid next week or whatever. To which you'll say, okay, so is it that you don't have a card you can put it on? Is it savings or is it something else? This sometimes closes the deal. However, when it doesn't and the prospect simply does not have the funds, here's what you do. Totally makes sense. Yeah, I get it. And listen, I'm super committed to your weight loss journey, Nick, and I know for a fact I can help you lose 20 pounds. I've also been on hundreds of these calls, bro. And if you hang up without taking any action, there's a high chance that nothing is gonna change in your life. So, what I'll do for you is this. Let's get you started next week. Let's get a $100 deposit today to secure your spot in the program. That way, I'll send you the questionnaire, you'll get it back to me, and by the time we start next week, we can just go off to the races. How does that sound? You're welcome. Now, let's talk about the money objection. So I'm on the phone with Nick and he's like, B-Mark, that all sounds great. I just don't have the money to invest in that. First, hopefully you did your damn homework and you got a handle on their spending habits at the start of the call, and that you've reflected those spending habits back to them so they're aware of how much money they're wasting. Here's the first way you respond to that. Okay, Nick, yeah, I totally hear you, and thanks for being honest with me. And just putting investment to the side for 1 second, the program sounds great, like it sounds like what you're looking for, like it has everything you need, is that correct? It does? Okay, great. And what about the program stood out the most for you exactly? Okay, so you're saying the $1,000 for 12 weeks is a little bit too much, is that right? Okay, now watch my tone here. I'll tell you what, Nick, I don't want finances to be the reason that you don't take action today, because I know for a fact I can help you lose that 20 pounds. So why don't we do this? Let's get you started at 500 now, and then 530 days from now. That way we can get you losing weight right away. We don't have to wait another 30 days to get started, and we can just get this thing kicked off. How does that sound? Sometimes they'll say, that's fair, I can do that, I can make that work, then you just collect the fucking cash. Now they might object again, and if they do, this is where you bring up their spending habits. Yeah, no, listen Nick, I get it. And I totally understand that it is an investment, and right now you're already investing. But you're investing in things that are actually harming your fitness goals. Investing in Starbucks, investing in eating out, investing in skip the dishes. So I think what we could do is cut out the spending on the things that are actually harming our fitness goals, which will give us room to actually invest in our fitness goals. Do you think that would make sense? When they say yes, then you'll go for the close. Okay, so listen, here's what I'll do for you. I don't wanna break the bank, and my goal isn't to take your money, it's to change your life. So let's get you started right now at $350 a month. That's a lot easier on the wallet, and it makes it easier for us to stop spending money on fast food and drinking and skip the dishes and all the things. And we'll rock and roll for the next 12 weeks, and I will help you lose 20 pounds. Also, just so you're aware, I don't wanna take your money. I'm so confident that this program is going to work that if you follow all my check-ins, you do the meal plans, and you haven't lost 20 pounds by the time the program's complete, I'll send you a refund on every single dollar that you paid to show you that I care more about your success than I do about money. How does that sound? Now that is called a conditional money back guarantee, which basically means if they fulfill the conditions and the result isn't met, they're eligible for a refund. And let's be honest, if somebody does their check-ins, does their meal plans, does their workouts, they're gonna fucking lose the weight. Now we're gonna talk about how to overcome the spouse objection. First things first is getting them to commit without talking to their spouse is a recipe for buyer's remorse. You don't wanna do it. This is why this objection is best overcome at the start of the call by asking them the question, does your spouse know we're speaking today, and do they support your goals? If you get the objection about the spouse, step number one is to understand. Nick, I totally hear you, and I actually, I have a partner that I run through all my decisions with as well. Now, typically speaking, is your partner on board for you like losing weight and getting in shape and feeling your best? They're gonna say yes to you, and then you're gonna say this. Okay, I tell you what. Now, I understand that you need to speak with your spouse, and I respect that decision. I've also been on hundreds of these calls, and I know for a fact that if you don't take any sort of action today, that there's a 90% chance that you're not gonna take any action and your life's gonna stay in the same place. So let's do this. Let's get you in on a $100 deposit. You can go talk to your spouse and make sure this actually makes logical sense. The deposit is completely refundable. I just wanna see that you're actually prepared to take action to change your life and get to your goals. Does that sound fair enough? You're welcome. Now let's talk about, I need to think about it. So I'm on the phone with Nick and he says, yeah, it all sounds great, B. I just need to think about it. Now the first step is to understand them and to hear them. Nick, I totally hear you, brother. What exactly is it that you need to think about? What I need you guys to understand is I need to think about it is a smokescreen. It isn't an actual objection. The only reason that they're saying that is there's something that you didn't do right on the call that now they need to go home and think about. So we need to identify what exactly that is. Do they need to think about whether or not it's the right time, whether or not it's a program fit, whether or not they have the money, do they need to talk to their spouse? We need to uncover their actual objection. So asking the question, I totally hear you, Nick, and what exactly is it that you need to think about? They will tell you it's either time, money, or spouse, and then you can go to overcoming that specific objection with what I've already taught you in this video. So you're at the end of the call, you've done everything I've told you to do on this video, and you still haven't closed the deal. What do? My rule is you always close on the call. Now, obviously, the goal is to collect the cash on the call. That would be the ideal scenario. However, sometimes that just won't happen. Now, first things first, before I get into this, I want you to know that it's likely that you are not sitting in the fire enough on your calls. Meaning that as soon as you get an objection, you're like, okay, fuck, I gotta go, peace. And you freak out. I need you to learn how to sit in the fire and really try to work through some of these objections, because most of your sales are gonna come because you're willing to have uncomfortable conversations. That being said, let's make the assumption that you overcame their objection before it came up. You overcame their objection after it came up. They still need some time to think about it, or they need to check their budget. This is how you're going to close on the call. Don't leave open loops, leave closed loops. Here's what I mean. If the prospect says, yeah, I still need to check my budget, B, or I really need to start next Friday, or I really need to talk to my spouse, here's exactly what you say. Okay, great. So how much time exactly do you need to have a conversation with your wife? You're gonna have it tonight? Okay, so why don't we hop back on a call, let's say around 6 p.m. And if you wanna take action, that's amazing. I'll help you transform your life. If not, you can tell me on that call and I'll at least send you some free resources. Does 6 p.m. tonight work for you? Okay, great. So you say you wanna start next week, Nick? Okay, perfect. And what day exactly next week do you wanna start? Wednesday? Okay. So why don't we get you booked in for a follow-up call next Wednesday? Let's just do the same time that we're having a call today. Does that work for you? Okay, great. Okay, Nick, so how much time exactly do you need to check your budget? A couple hours? Okay, great. So how about we hop on a quick call around 7 p.m. tonight? And we can just run through, the options and see if it's a good fit. If not, that's totally cool too. I can just send you some free resources at that time, but this gives you enough time to actually check the budget and make sure that it fits. Does that work for you? You get the idea. Book the next call on the call. Now, the last thing I need to leave you with, and this is so fucking important, and this applies to whether or not you sell them or you don't sell them, is you need to ask yourself the question at the end of every sales call, how was it left? Now, the reason you need to ask this question is your prospect is only going to remember the last 60 seconds of the call. They're going to remember the emotion that they felt in the last 60 seconds of the call. So despite whether you sold them or you didn't sell them, you need to ask yourself the question, how was it left? So in the last 60 seconds of your call, you need to make an incredible impression. If you sell the prospect, this is what that looks like. Nick, my man. Dude, I'm so excited. I just got the payment. How you feeling, brother? Nervous, excited, ready? You're nervous? Dude, I just want you to know that all the emotions that you're feeling are justified. And if you weren't nervous, I would feel weirded out. This is definitely a nerve-wracking decision, but you just made the best decision of your life. And I'm really, really excited to help you out. Listen, we're gonna lose this 20 pounds together. It's gonna be amazing. Nick, is there any final questions that you have for me right now or anything that I can do to clarify the situation for you? I wanna make sure that you feel good to go. No final questions? Okay, great. So the next steps, what we're gonna do, and you're just gonna talk about next steps. If you don't close the client on the call, you need to ask yourself the question, how was it left? This is exactly how you wanna end that call. All right, listen, Nick, I appreciate you for hopping on today, and I totally respect that you need to talk to your wife. So I just wanna say thank you so much for showing up today, bro. It was actually a pleasure talking to you. And I just want you to know that I believe in you. I'm super confident we can help you lose the weight. I'm super confident you'll be down 20 pounds. I'm super confident I can help you get in the best shape of your life. Now, Nick, is there any final questions that you have for me or anything that I can do for you to like just clarify anything for you or anything that you need from me right now? There's not? Okay, bro, I just wanna say thank you again so much. I've got you booked in for a follow-up call later today at 4 p.m. So look forward to speaking with you then, and I hope you have the best day of your entire life. Okay, take care, brother. Bye-bye. Now, when the prospect leaves that call, all they're gonna remember is how you made them feel in the last 60 seconds of the call. So at the end of every sales call, make sure you ask yourself the question, how was it left? Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you wanna learn how to attract clients, convert clients, and deliver an amazing service to your clients, tap the button below to book in for a call with me and my team. We'll talk about your biggest struggle, your biggest goal, and I'll give you a game plan to help you achieve your business goals. Tap the button below to book in for a calendar, and I'll talk to you soon.